Hey everybody, it's Romania Black. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking that I couldn't wait and that I went ahead and watched episode 12 after last episodes of Sasaki to Miyano. But you know what? I did wait. Not because I really necessarily wanted to. I wanted to dive right in episode 12 after that cliffhanger of Miyano trying to get Sasaki's attention and Sasaki taking his words the wrong way. It's the ultimate trope in the final hour. It's like, no, I wanted so badly to watch the next episode, but I decided to wait until the English dub came out because I've been watching the English dub at the same time, and I wanted to hear the English dub version of episode 11 before jumping in episode 12, and it comes out on Sundays, so I had to wait a couple days, and then I watched it, and it was glorious. So I'm watching this on a Wednesday, actually. Episode 10 just came out on YouTube, and episode 11 has come out on Patreon, so I've honestly, you know, as excited as I was to watch this episode, I've been really dreading it because this is it for now. It's not the end. We're not doing a live stream yet. Live stream is like post-mortem. It's like when the series is over and completely. But or at least when it seems like it will be indefinitely over. But knowing that there is some new anime coming up, as I'm recording this, Wushin Suibian on the Discord for Patreon said that in a couple days there's going to be an announcement about the anime. So I'm really excited about that. So if you follow me on Patreon, if you subscribe on Patreon, then I'll probably be talking in the Discord about it. If you don't, then I'll probably be talking on my Twitter account about it when that news comes out. I'm really excited that we're going to get some news about the anime project already. That's such a good sign when a show does so well that there's immediately an anime project announcement, because I'm still waiting on that Skate the Infinity anime project announcement, let me tell you. Still waiting on it. But the fact that they have an announcement, that's really exciting. Still waiting on that Given Season 2. But we'll get there, I'm sure, when we have enough content from Kizu. But as far as Sasaki to Miyano goes, I am excited to know what that new project is going to be. And I'm excited that this summer we're getting an OVA. So I'm like, that's really exciting. So it's not the end of Sasaki and Miyano. We're just going to take a hiatus, kind of like what we're doing with Link Click, like Bungo Stray Dogs, like Attack on Titan. It's just, this is much more. This is much more fluffy than those other series. So I have really, really enjoyed this series for being such a wonderful ray of sunshine amidst the dreary and darker shows that I've been watching. And other than Ace of the Diamond and maybe Heaven Official's Blessing, there's a lot of angst in my channel right now. So Sasaki and Miyano has been a great reprieve from that. But after this episode, I don't know yet what's replacing it. There's been a poll going on Patreon. The replacement poll for this is a Patreon poll. It's been ongoing, and there's like 4 different ones that it's tied between right now that I don't know what's going to replace it. I'll probably have a community post on YouTube about it when it's decided, but none of those 4 choices are happy. They're not happy, fluffy shows from what I know. So it is going to be sad that we're saying, you know, sayonara for now to Sasaki and Miyano. But the dub is amazing. I love the dub. It's so good. It's right up there with Yuri on Ice and Skate the Infinity. It may be one of my favorite English dubs in recent memory. It's just really good. The characters, the voices all match the characters perfectly. It's funny because I had watched up to episode 10 of the dub, and then I watched episode 11 last week, and it was like, there was a brief moment where like, oh, we're back to Japanese, but the characters didn't sound incredibly different. Like Kellen Goff and the voice actor for Miyano, and my mind is going blank, but they do such a good job of voicing them, of those characters, and making it have the same spirit of the Japanese voice actors, but being in English. And that's a hard thing to do. So if you've not watched the dub to Sasaki to Miyano, I highly recommend it. It's very, very good. I really, really like it. I'm excited that after I watch this final episode, this coming Sunday, I'll get to watch the release of episode 12 in the dub. It's going to be a lot of fun. But yeah, I've been dreading this episode because I always dread the last episode. When it's the season finale, I dread it because I don't want it to end. And luckily, Sasaki to Miyano is not ending. We're just going to take a break and then come back this summer with the OVA. And then hopefully in a couple days, we'll find out about this anime project and see what it's all about. But I poured myself a drink. It's been storming all day. And it's been one of those like dreary, cold days that you're just like, ugh. And I was like, man, I really want to watch Sasaki to Miyano and just like warm up. And I just want them to confess. I don't care what we get out of this episode. I just want Miyano to be able to finally speak his piece and give Sasaki an answer before he graduates. And we'll go from there. But I'm not going to read the manga after this, I don't think, until I at least know what they're doing for the other anime project. I'm not going to read the manga yet because I want to hold off. If they're doing a second season or combining or doing Hirano to Kagura or whatever his name is, I'm going to kind of wait on that. But, oh man, I'm really excited. So I've talked enough. I've wasted enough time. Let's dive into this, shall we? The final episode. Oh my gosh. The season finale of Sasaki and Miyano, episode 12. We're going to start that here in 3, 2, 1, and let's go. Oh, that was so good. Oh my God, that was so good. Ah, oh, that was satisfying. That was a satisfying season finale with a very satisfying confession. That's exactly what I wanted. That's all I wanted. Wow. That's all I needed. Review's over. No, oh my God. This episode was gorgeous. Like the animation was beautiful, like everything. There's a series that I recently have read, and I want to do like a somewhat rant video about it because I'm not going to give it away because I want it to be a surprise when I actually talk about it. But if you've been on my Twitter, you probably know what I'm talking about. But there's like a BL series that's come out. It's really it's gotten a lot of attention because it's very controversial. It has a very controversial title to it. But it has a lot of BL tropes that I'm like, eh. And I'll go ahead and say it. It's called Dick Fight Island. And I'm going to do a video about it at some point in May because I just want to rant about it because I've read the first volume and I'm like, But I feel like it represents a lot of people being like, oh, a BL, huh? So it's got this, this, and this going on. No, this series, Sasaki and Miyano, has been kind of like if you need to get somebody on board the BL bandwagon and you're like, what shows should I have them watch? Or what series should I have them read? Dick Fight Island is not it. No, you need to have them watch Given. You need to have them watch this because these are like the two gateway series into BL. It's just, Sasaki and Miyano is wholesome enough. The love story in it is very wholesome. It's sweet. It's got layers. It's developed, but it's also very realistic. And there's actually been a lot to talk about. Like I've talked for maybe like 40 minutes in a video about this show, just about all the different things that they cover and about how relationships are covered and everything like that. So it's got a lot of quality and content, but it's very much, it develops that relationship. And it's not a slow burn. I wouldn't describe Sasaki and Miyano as a slow burn. I wouldn't describe it as that. And I wouldn't describe Given as that either. They give you enough and they give you relationships and they give you little teases at it, but with a slow burn, it's like the constant pining and will they or won't they. From Sasaki and Miyano, from episode 1, I was like, oh, they're going to get together. It's just, there is no will they, it's when they, And so I feel like this whole season has done its part and it subverts a lot of tropes that you expect going into not only a BL series, but a romance series in general. That's what I love about this series is that it's not just like, you could argue that not only BL series, but like any romance series, there's so many of them where it's the trope of, oh, we're instantly dating, or we had a fling and then we had sex and then got together, or like all this stuff happened, or we fell in love and then 3 months later we're like married, it just, or people rush into relationships. There's couples that rush into relationships, or it doesn't feel earned, right? It doesn't feel as developed or cultivated like it does here. I would liken this to like, if you're looking at Donghua or Danmai, I'd say like Modao Zushi. Like that series is a slow burn. Modao Zushi is a slow burn. It's like 90 chapters before they get like physical contact. Here, but that series is a lot different than this. But with Sasaki and Miyano, it's taking the time to develop a nuanced, real relationship. Like in real life, you don't just see somebody hook up and then you guys are like soulmates. That's just not usually how it works. Maybe like 1% of the population can pull that off. But usually if something like that happens, you get together and it's a fling and then it falls apart, right? Because you didn't take that time to develop that communication with one another, to understand if your feelings are mutual with one another, and then it just kind of falls apart because it's a spur of the moment thing that just happens, and it just can't hold any water. It can't sustain itself because there wasn't a foundation, right? And this series is all about making a foundation. It's about Sasaki and Miyano. Sasaki is the more gung-ho of the two. He's the more spontaneous of the two and the one that kind of takes initiative. But I would argue that Miyano has like a stronger core to him, like his resolve. Like when he's like, no, I'm going to do this. Sasaki, he waffles a little bit between, he's like, oh, did I do this? He's like gung-ho about it, but then he instantly is like, wait, did I do too much? He regrets, whereas Miyano's like, no, I'm going to make sure that I don't regret this action, so I'm going to think it through, be concrete about it. And I could see a lot of people going through this series and be like, oh, nothing's happening, they're not good. But I'm like, in real life, if you want a sustainable relationship, this is kind of the way to go about it, right? And it makes it all that much more rewarding when they do get together at the end and you're like, yes. In episode 1, I compared this a lot to Nozaki-kun, to Monthly Girls Nozaki-kun, which is a very cute series. It's very cute. There's a lot of will they, won't they humor, and it's very nice. But the one thing that frustrated me about that series, and I've not read the manga, so I don't know in Monthly Girls Nozaki-kun if it goes any further, but without spoiling anything, there's never that moment like this where they talk it out. The situational humor in that series is very much the will they, won't they, and like lots of miscommunication, and it's played as a joke. I can handle miscommunication if it's played for laughs. If it's played as a joke, it works. Like in Nozaki-kun, it works. But if it's played for drama and like melodrama, I'm like, get that out of here. We ain't got time for that. No, thank you. I don't got time for that in real life, much less in my fictional stories. So I'm glad that that's not the case. Like this, the thing with Sasaki thinking that he overstepped his boundaries and tried to kiss him, it's the closest thing to the misunderstanding becoming melodrama. And Miyano shuts that shit down like by halfway through the episode. He's like, no, listen. And then listen, Linda, and has him listen to his confession. But oh my God, like this series, it just does so many wonderful things in terms of communicating relationships, giving a widespread of healthy relationships. Granted, yeah, there are toxic relationships out there. In a series like Given, they give samples of that toxic relationship and go through it. And I could see someone arguing and criticizing this show, being like, oh, it's all just sunshine and rainbows. And I'm like, well, damn it. Sometimes I need some sunshine and rainbows, right? What's wrong with portraying healthy relationships? Why does there have to be a toxic relationship in the friend group? Why can't they all have healthy relationships? What's wrong with that, right? That's the way it should be, right? So I like this. I like the way that this series has portrayed relationships and given us a wide variety. And it's not just BL relationships too. That's the thing about it as well. There's all sorts of relationships. You have people like Miyano and Sasaki who are committed to one another in a gay relationship. You have people like Kurosawa and Ogasawara who are in heterosexual straight relationships. You have people like Tashiro that we don't know about that aren't in a relationship and just haven't found anybody. You have people like Hirano that maybe not they like somebody. We don't know. You have people like Hanzawa who just doesn't want a relationship right now. Like it has a healthy balance of all these different types of sexualities and relationships that are all very relatable, but they're also very wholesome and healthy. And I appreciate that about this series a lot. But, this episode, it's so good. And I love that when Miyano gets his resolve, he's like, no, this is how it's going to go. That's one thing. Like Sasaki goes all in. He goes gung-ho, but then he's like, oh, was that too much? Like he overthinks it a little bit at the end. Miyano takes his time to think it out. And then once he decides on something, he's like, it's time to take action. And I love it. I love how he just like, no. He goes up there and tells the president, he's like, I gotta go. We'll handle this tomorrow. I got things to do. And this new president, he seems interesting. And so I like that this purple-eyed guy and him are like, the purple-eyed guy's just drawing a figure on the board. He's just goofing off. This purple-eyed guy, it looks like a Yu-Gi-Oh character. He's just drawing it. The new president, he looks calm and cool. Kind of like, he looks like if Hanzawa and Hirano had a baby. Like, he looks like a mix between the two of them. It's kind of weird, but it fits. I like it. And they're like, oh, our vice president's already skipping out on his first meeting, huh? And I like that Miyano's the vice president. And then he's like, Miyano running in the halls? That's rare. Hardly befitting a member of the disciplinary committee. He seems nice. I like him. But yeah, Miyano's like, I ain't got time. I gotta catch up with Sasaki. And then, of course, I like that he realizes, he's like, oh, did he misunderstand me? He misunderstood me. So I like that there's no beating around the bush. There's no like, did he think this way or not? It's like, oh no, he misunderstood senpai. I gotta go find him. I gotta fix it. Like, I love it. And that's when he's like, I need to go fix this. And he realizes that he wouldn't have minded if Sasaki had kissed him. Like, it's a done deal now. He knows. He knows it's what he wants. And I love that Hanzawa and Hirano are like the best wingmen ever. They're like, let's do this. Let's help you get your man. They're like, we'll call him, find out where he is, and look around. I love it. He's like, oh, his locker. I don't know what Hanzawa did to that locker, but I don't want to know either. And of course, I love that Hirano's like, you still haven't shared contact info. Really? I got very Gibbon vibes in that moment, like Haruki being like, why haven't you done this? I feel like Hirano is like a big mix of Haruki and Akihiko from Gibbon, in a way. But yeah, I love this. I love that Hanzawa is this calming presence. He's like, oh, it's okay. I freaking love Hanzawa by the end of this. For the record, I love him in this. I love that he's like, it's okay. He's like got the English book in his hands. He's like, and he asks if they're dating. And Miyano's like, well, we're not dating yet, but I really love him. And he's like, oh, you aren't? He's like, and his blush and everything. He's like, you love him, right? Mm-hmm. I love it. I love how sweet he is. And Miyano's like, yeah. And he's like, oh. And I love how nice he is. He's like, it's tough being a same-sex couple, you know. People are going to have things to say about it. And I like Miyano's like, are you speaking from experience? Like, do you know this? And he's like, not me, but I've got gay family members. And Miyano's like, oh. And he's like, I've lived around gay guys my whole life, like Hanzawa. And it would spook me when I found myself walking in on a fight. Yeah, to see them in a relationship having a fight. Whenever one of them got injured, I'd wonder if maybe their partner had done something to them. He's like, not that I really expect you two to fight that much. I don't expect Miyano and Sasaki to fight very much either. Maybe like a verbal tussle and that's it. And then there's, as the season rounds out, it's those two guys that have interrupted every single conversation in every single episode. They're like the Wilhelm scream of this series. It just has to happen that these two guys are going to interrupt. He's like, and when you're surrounded by straight couples, you'll find yourself being asked inappropriate questions. And even if the topic has nothing to do with your love life, you'll probably still be sensitive. Yeah, so that is the thing too. He's like, you know, even though your friends might not be in those types of relationships, they'll probably ask you like questions that you might be uncomfortable with. And even if it has nothing to do with your relationship with Sasaki, you know, you may be sensitive to talk about that sort of thing or not want to, right? And so I like that he takes his brother's experience and he tries to pass it on to Miyano, be like, look, here's just what I know. I want to help make sure you guys are comfortable. And he says, I'm just worried that you two might face those kinds of problems if you get together. That's all. And that's what ties back to from the last episode. It's that he wants them to be happy, just like he wants his brothers to be happy. But he worries that they're going to face the same hardships he's seen his brothers face. And he knows they're his friends and he wants them to be safe. And I'm like, that's so sweet. Like, I love Hanzawa. He's so good. And Miyano's like, oh. And I love he says, even if people were to say things, I feel like I'll be just fine as long as I have him beside me. Like, it's so sweet. It's just pure sugar. So I'm going to make sure that I never do anything to make Sasaki-senpai worry. And I love that Hanzawa was like, no, it's just really cute. He's like, I'm not laughing. It was just enduring by how love-struck you seem. He's like, love-struck? That's not what I was doing. It's like, oh, Miyano, honey. You don't even know. And then I was like, I'm trying to get a hold of them while you guys are just yapping over here. I love it. I love that he leaves the message. And then Hanzawa was like, I hope he knows what he's doing. I love that Hanzawa was just worried about him. And man, Hirano, our matchmaker, our wingman, just making it to where Sasaki, because that's the thing, I didn't realize it at the end of the episode, but Miyano ran off before Hirano called him back a second time. So he knows he called him the first time, but he didn't know about the voicemail. So he didn't know Hirano left the message for him to come back to the school, and that's how he met up with Miyano. Look at him. Look at him. He's like, I lied, duh. And then they go to hang out in the library. And then poor Sasaki. Poor Sasaki. And Miyano's like reaffirming everything he wants to do with him. And Sasaki saying he has no self-control. I'm like, dude, you have so much self-control. Because it is such a trope that, it is a trope that in a lot of series I've read, the one character in the one partner of the group is a bit more forward. And in some series I've read, yeah, they do kind of force themselves. And I'm not comfortable with that aspect of it. So Sasaki has been like this big breath of fresh air because he doesn't force himself on Miyano. He got close with the kiss, but he didn't do it. That's the thing. He held back. He held back. And so I feel so sad for Sasaki. He's like, I should probably step back and give him some space, but I don't think I can. He's like, I don't think I can walk away from him like that. It's like, no! No! Don't do it! I've got to apologize to him properly tomorrow. I just love Miyano on the train with the flower in that picture beside him. Like, thinking of all the imagery of them holding hands and the fireworks. I love it. I love that he's just like thinking about Sasaki and Senpai. And then getting the message from Hirano. It's the bakery near that station. It's his family's home. And he thinks about all the things with Sasaki. And that's when he runs in at the train station to Sasaki there. And then I love that they decide to go somewhere private. And it's a park. It's a beautiful park on a park bench. It's perfect. It's, what else could you want? What else could you want? Just go there into the most romantic setting all by yourself, please. I really thought for a second they were going to sit on the swings, but I like the park bench better. I like that better. I love Miyano just going through. I used to look up to him, but it's more than that. And this whole thing under like the viney park bench, it's so good. From here on, like halfway through, this episode is just so wonderful. It's like the perfect confession for these two. Like there are series that have perfect confessions. Modao Zushi, perfect confession for them. This series, perfect confession. I just love it. Given, perfect. Yeah. And then Sasaki does apologize. He does apologize to him. Miyano's like, what are you doing? He's like, we aren't dating and I forced myself on you and I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. And that's when Miyano's like, I don't want you to think that way. He's like, no. He's like, I love you. And I love this. Sasaki's like, say it again. Just to be sure, like he didn't believe him the first time. He's like, say it again to prove that it's real. And Miyano's like, wait, what? All the shapes, everything. This is so perfect. The scene in the sunset. God, I love it. And he's like, I'm in love with you, Sasaki-senpai. Oh. I love how the shapes are used in this scene. And then when he like has the BL confession, it just like water falls off of him. It's so wonderful. And then of course Sasaki's like, oh my God. He's like, you really don't have to confess this soon. Take your time. And he's like, I took my time. He's like, I've taken long enough. He's like, time has flown because I've had so much fun with you. And I love that Miyano is trying to explain all the way. He's trying to get on Sasaki's level and explain everything. I love it. He's like, I just need you to understand why I feel this way about you and what these feelings are. And I love the Hanzawa, his words of staying calm. He's like, no, I can do this. He's like, ugh. And I love how with the nonverbal gestures, Sasaki like touches his face like he's trying to hold it all in. But he's like, ugh. And he tells him about all the things that he's done. It's great. It's so cute. And he's like, but words, well, he said, I feel like words aren't enough to express my feelings. I'm like, is he going to hug him? Is he going to kiss him? What's he going to do? But I love this. He's like, because yeah, in another series, in another romance, when he's like, words aren't enough, because that's the big conundrum, right? Sometimes you like someone so much, you feel like words aren't enough. You need to physically express it. But I love that he says, I have to express myself if I want him to really understand how I feel. Miyano is not half-assing this. He is not just going in and being like, let me just kiss you. Yeah, sure, I like you. He's like, no, I gotta lay it all out in the line. Make sure that we're all on the same page before we move forward. It's so good. It's like relationship goals. I love that he's just trying to explain himself, and Sasaki's like, honey, I love it. He goes through the motions of everything. He talks about all of it. And he talks about how frustrating it is to confess. Which, yeah, the confession is messy, but it's Miyano just trying to work through everything. Seeing you smile makes me feel so happy, and I want to reach out and touch you. Oh, God, I love it. And Sasaki's like, oh my God, I've wanted this whole time. And he grabs his hand, his giant hand. Is it bad for me to think that this is the same kind of love as you feel for me? That's so freaking romantic. Like, he's just like, I want us to be on the same page. Do you love me the same way that I love you? Oh. And Sasaki's like, yes. I was like, how do I make him understand? And Sasaki's like, oh my God. And this gesture, when he takes the hand, he's like, your hands are freezing. I'm sorry, but I am a sucker for the tiny little gestures. Like the littlest little things, like just that are so romantic. Like I'm a big sucker for those. I'm like, you've sold me if you can do those. Like you can have these grand sweeping gestures and they're wonderful, but the moment he like holds his hand and he like slides his finger into the sleeve to like, it's over. I feel like I'm I feel like I'm in 1800s Victorian England and I'm like showing an ankle, you know? It's just, that's how I feel. That little hand like rubbing his wrist is like a woman in Victorian England in the 1800s showing her ankle to someone, you know? It's just, scandalous. And Miyano's just blush. And then I love he's like, your hands are cold too. And their hands like coming together. And then him asking if he can hug him. I'm like, yes, please. But he says, by all means. I really hope that the English dub has by all means. The English dub has done a really good job of using some of the similar wordings from the Japanese sub. So I feel like they'll leave it in. But it's so cute. By all means, God, you're so cute. Yeah, I can't wait for Kellen Goff to say this. I can't. He's like, well, you're cute too, senpai. And he's like, what the heck is that supposed to mean? Ah! So good. He's like, because you're cute. I love this. God, and them hugging each other. It's so damn sweet. Hugging it with one hand while holding the hand in the other. Best kind of hug. Best kind of hug. It's over. And him like leaning down. And Miyano actually gets to put his hands on Sasaki then. And he says, what about a kiss? Sasaki's like, I'm feeling bold. I'm rolling the dice. I'm taking a gamble. We made it to hug stage. It's been 1.5 years. Can I kiss you? And Miyano's like, I love that he's like, yes, as long as it's with you, then I'd like that. Oh. And this kiss, y'all. The thumb over the lips. Stop. Oh my gosh. Again, the littlest gestures. Like the cradling of the hands. Oh, Sasaki, you swooner. You heartbreaker. And Miyano putting the hand up by his face. Both of you breaking hearts. I can't. I love the pink tones. And the hand up. Every part about this kiss, every single gesture, every single part is so freaking good. I could just watch it over and over again. And him kissing the hand. Swoon. Just straight swoon. I'm gonna get all the thumbnails. All the stills from this. I'm glad they do show a kiss. Like they cut away from the lips and they show like the eyes meeting and everything. And I love that they have, and I'm sure in the manga it looks like that still, and them open their eyes together. Like I'm sure. But yeah, and then I love that as soon as they break away, he hugs them really close. It's like, just fangirl about it forever. Oh. And I love Miyano like closing his eyes and gripping the shoulder. Ugh. This scene is done so friggin' well. He's like, so you didn't dislike it? And he's like, no, I told you I wanted to do it. Oh, I want to think that it's like, he's like, your heart's pounding really loud. I love it. He's like, just ignore it. It's my first time doing anything like this, so it can't be helped. And he's like, yeah, me too. Oh my God. There's so many stills. I can't, y'all. It's too much. It's too much. It's too much. And him hugging him too. God, and the lamps come on. He's like, all the triangles. And then he's like, I so don't want to graduate now. And he's like, please do graduate. I love him with the arms around him, holding like the hug with the hands. He's like, I don't like this creeping feeling of it actually happening soon. The classes are ending soon for me after all. And then, yeah, he's like, oh, you forgot something on campus. I love that he's like, oh, Hirano probably lied. I like that he instantly knew. He's like, doesn't seem like me to forget something. Whatever, he's probably lying. And then I love that he's like, you call him then. I love that I feel like Sasaki has like a kink of wanting to hear Miyano on the phone. Because he always gives him, he's like, I just want to hear you talk on the phone to someone. And Miyano's like, a phone call while I'm being embraced by my new boyfriend? And like Hirano's like, Miyano, you really use the phone right now. I just love that Sasaki's like shoulders jump like, like what's Hirano going to think from that? And Hirano's like, dear God. The thing is, Hirano knows how innocent Miyano is, so he's like, yeah, there's nothing overt about that. I love it. We'll call this a draw. I love Sasaki says, so what did I forget? Like he knew. He said it was a misunderstanding, and he's like, told ya. Oh, so adorable. Oh my God, I can't. And then Miyano figures it out. And he's like, and I love that Miyano says, he's like, I'm in love with you. Can I be your boyfriend? Or please be my boyfriend. And Sasaki's like, you have to ask that? And then this part where just like the flowers and all the BL radiates off of him. He's like, in this manga I read one time. He's talking so fast. He said, at the end of volume 2, they traded I love yous, but then in volume 3, even though they confessed to each other, they still weren't dating. And that really hit me hard, so I didn't want that to happen with us. Like, it's just cascading off of him. Oh my God. And Sasaki's like, you're kidding. He's like, come on, senpai. He's like, I'm so sorry. He's like, I get it. He's like, why did all that of all things set you off? He's like, Mia-chan. I love that he holds his hand. He's like, do you want to date me? And that's when he realizes that way back in episode 1, Miyano made him laugh. And he's like, you're kind of adorable, Mia-chan. Do you want to date me? And here, this thing made him laugh, and he said the same thing. Like, he's been serious all this time. He's been wanting to do it all this time. And he says, very much so. And then, yeah, I love that he sneaks in the kiss. He's like, very Sasaki, coming in for the kill, like just swooping in. He's like, gotcha. And he's like, oh yeah, we need to trade contact information. He's like, oh yeah, we probably should. I love the idea that the thing's going by, and I've seen this in some of the official art too, we've shared in the Discord, that Sasaki is a cat, and those little antennae, Miyano is a bunny. So it's like a cat and a bunny, which is funny because is there a BL series called Tiger and Bunny? Or is that not BL and it's just kind of construed as that? I know there's a series called Tiger and Bunny. I don't know if it's a BL or not. But that's funny that we have a cat and a bunny. Reminds me of that. But yeah. Oh my God. And then I love that they just are sitting there crouched down talking. And you know what it's like? Them crouched down talking is exactly like when they were crouched down talking about the manga in episode 1. It's just a parallel of that, only now they're trading contact information. My heart, y'all. My heart is full. I love it so much. And yeah, and we got I love that we get our post-credit of them confessing their loves, or confessing that they're dating to their friends. I love that Hirano's like, I don't know how to take this, so cool. Glad you guys are dating. Good luck with that. Let's not talk about it. I like that Hirano is not the PDA affectionate, talkative person. He doesn't really, but that fits Hirano's character. He doesn't want to talk about it. Whereas Kurosawa is like, as soon as he finds out, he's like, we gotta tell Tashiro, we gotta get this out in the open. The three of us know. We don't have to tell the class, but we need to know. And then I like that Hanzawa is just like, oh, hey, I figured it out. But they don't tell Ogasawara. They're like, we'll tell you some other time. They don't instantly tell him. I'm like, I figured they probably think he'll freak out or tell his girlfriend and she'll demand to see them. So maybe they're trying to spare Sasaki and Miyano from having to run into Ogasawara's girlfriend instantly, right? I love it. I love it so much. Oh my God. And then, yeah, Miyano's still like, no running the hallways. That's our disciplinary committee vice president. Yeah. Oh, Sasaki senpai. And I love that everybody looks over to them and they're trying to be like, it's kosher. They're like, good morning. It's like, good luck with classes today. It's like, oh, you too. Good luck with your chess. I'm cheering you on. It's so cute. Oh, and everybody's like, They're like, yep. I love that Kurosawa has that like head tilt, like, yeah. Oh my God, this was just the most precious thing ever. But yeah, if you really are, I feel like if you have friends or you know somebody that is like thinking about BL or they're like, what's BL about? This is the series to show them because it's so wholesome. It's so funny. The characters are all likable, wonderful characters. There's none of this toxic BS. It's just genuine going through the motions of a relationship and having genuine conversations. And it's cute and fluffy, and that's what I needed. And I feel like as much as I love the sub, I'm going to be honest, I love the subs for this series, Yuri on Ice, and Skate the Infinity. But if I'm being honest, the dubs are really good. And with the dubs, I can put it on, and because I speak English, I can put it on and be like in the middle of something and still listening to it, and I don't have to fully train my eyes and pay attention so I can hear the subtitles. I feel like the Sasaki and Miyano dub is one that I'm going to watch more than the subs, and I'm going to watch it over and over again because it's just so good. I do that already with Yuri on Ice, and I've done that with Skate the Infinity, so I definitely know that the dub for Miyano and Sasaki and Miyano is going to be one I listen to a lot. But, oh, this series was so good. There's not really a lot more to talk about except they all come into grips with their feelings. I feel like everything from the previous 11 episodes and the lengthy discussions we've had about that has just been setting up for everything to just come to a head in this episode and then have our resolution. It just ended so perfectly. It called back everything from episode 1 to this episode. It was a nice bookend. We don't have graduation yet. We don't have that stuff yet, so there's still that to look forward to. We still have, we got to see a glimpse of Kurosawa's girlfriend's hair for a brief second, but we haven't met her yet. Ogasawara doesn't know about the relationship yet. There's still so much that was left on the table that they could expand upon if they did a second season. So I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know if this anime update is going to be, I would imagine, we've talked about this in the comments and on the Discord and on Patreon, but I feel like they're either going to do a second season and they're going to do a second season of Sasaki and Miyano, or some of you were talking about how there is the spin-off series, which is about Hirano and the roommate, and that there was several parts of this season that were Hirano focused that were cut out. And so a lot of people have been talking about how maybe they're going to do a Hirano spin-off series and incorporate those cut out pieces from this into that to create a season of its own. I'm like, that would be kind of cool. I'd be all about that. I'd like that. That seems like it'd be a lot of fun. So I feel like it's going to do one of those two things. Either way, I'm good. I'm just really excited in a couple days. By the time this airs on Patreon, and definitely by the time it airs on YouTube, we'll already know what that anime project is. I'm excited to find out what it is too. But we still have the OVA this summer. Now that they're dating, I'm like, yes, bring it on. Bring all the mushy-gushy domestic boyfriend stuff that they'll do. I'm ready. It's been such a journey watching Miyano, because Saki knew from episode 1 that he liked Miyano. And by episode 3, he was like, I love you. And so this whole season has been a journey of watching Miyano come to terms with his sexuality, come to terms with how he feels about Sasaki, and then gathering up the courage to just straight up talk to him. And it's so good. My heart, y'all, my heart. So yeah, I love this series, and I'm really excited that there's gonna be an OVA this summer, and I'm really excited that we're gonna get another anime project. So this is not the end of Sasaki and Miyano. It's gonna be just a little bit of a hiatus until we get to pick it back up again, which is fine. I can wait. I am a patient person, if anything. If anything with series like this, I am a patient person because it'll be worth it. The animation was so beautiful this episode, the characterization, everything. I cannot tell you how excited I am for Sunday with the English dub. I cannot tell you how excited I am to watch it. It's going to be great. But yeah, thank you. First and foremost, thank you all. Those of you that voted for this series, thank you. Y'all knew what I needed this spring, and it has been so wonderful these last 12 weeks to sit down and watch this series. It's been so much fun. It's been too short, but it's been definitely worth it. So first of all, thank you all that voted for this series. Thank you all for watching and commenting. I really appreciate the support, and I really appreciate y'all talking with me about this series. We've been able to fangirl about it. It's been wonderful. And then finally, thank you to Seth, Mary, and for September Scanlations. I was so dreading the lag of this series that was going to happen through most of it. And y'all gave me these files, this wonderful translation, and y'all were very kind to do that and to allow it to be accessed by others. So thank you so much. And I really, really greatly appreciate it. It's been a big help, and it's made the viewing experience for this show so wonderful. But yeah, so right now, I don't know what's going to be replacing this series yet. I will know in a couple days. By the time this airs on Patreon and YouTube, we'll already know what is replacing it. But I'll have a post probably on the community post on YouTube about it when we get closer. And I'll probably have a post on Patreon or in the Discord about it as we get closer too. So I'm excited for whatever's going to replace this series. But we're not totally saying goodbye to Sasaki and Miyano yet. We've still got an OVA and some left to go. So that's exciting. But I hope y'all enjoyed this reaction discussion. This was wonderful. I'm going to go watch it again. So in the meantime, I hope y'all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe. Take care. And yes, I will be back this summer with the Sasaki and Miyano OVA. Bye.